Have an I too. It's Abla. Today I wanted to talk about our identity as so-called Black people, our ancestry, our ancestral links, and the implications of that, and how to build community and how to work and grow forward, knowing the implications of our ancestry and the implications of our current identities that we've picked up, right? So basically wanted to talk about coming together, the life diaspora, just how quote unquote Black people can come together and how there's really only one way to do it. And I have a similar video that you can watch when I was talking about relinquishing your identity to be a part of a spiritual community. And I wanted to bring this back up because I recently watched the movie The Woman King, I believe it's called. I believe it's called The Woman King. Popular movie. I watched that movie, and as I'm watching it, a family member made a comment that the white Dutch, I believe they were Dutch, slave traders, that their descendants are who we see today doing treacherous things in the world, right? And it made me think, who are the descendants of all the Black people we're seeing here? The descendants of those being sold and captured, the descendants of those selling their brothers and sisters, right? Like the descendants of the enslaved and those working with the so-called evil white men because Black people were working with the white people. So I thought, who are the descendants of all the Black people I'm seeing in this movie? Not just who are the descendants of the white people, but we are all the descendants of the Black people. And it made me think of tribalism and how tribalism has historically been a part of Africa and how we've had great kingdoms. You know, you only learn about slavery in the States and Caribbean and things like that when you are taught in the system. They just teach you about slavery. That's all they teach about Black people. Maybe you learned one kingdom, one great kingdom, right? But mainly you learn about slavery. You don't learn about the great kingdoms that were on the continent. You don't learn about Ethiopia. You don't learn about Mali. You don't learn about Timbuktu. You don't learn about these things. You learn about slavery. But we know that the continent is a place of great kingdoms and a place of many tribes. So it wasn't just one people. We are, but at the same time, our ancestry is not just of one people. It's of different tribes and different kingdoms, and kingdoms that have conquered each other and fought against each other, tribes and tribalism, fighting against each other, working together, being cohesive. There's so much history that is not taught, and that can kind of create a blockage in how we can grow forward. Because this is coming to my point, as I'm thinking, who are the descendants of these Black people I'm seeing in the movie, I'm realizing, okay, so some of us are the descendants of the enslaved. Some of us are the descendants of those who were selling each other. Some of us were enslaved, but we've also had, in our own kingdoms, before becoming enslaved, we had slaves in our kingdoms, right? So it just goes so deep. A lot of times you hear that is so deep. A lot of times you hear that we all Black people just need to come together. We just need to come together as our ancestors were and follow our ancestors. But in reality, we don't want to actually do that. Do we want to do that? Because our ancestors were not actually, quote unquote, unified as one when you think about it. So you hear that all black people need to do is just look at their common enemy as, let's say, the so-called white man, and come together. And you wonder why it's so hard. You wonder why it seems like so difficult for black people to unify against a common enemy as the white man. It's so difficult for black people to come together in our neighborhoods, in our communities, especially in the system. You wonder why it's so hard, and people say it's simple, just come together, we have a common enemy. Everyone just needs to band together against white people or against racism, systemic racism, against these things. But it's deeper than that, because we weren't together before they, I don't want to use those words. It's like we're saying all we need to do is come together, but were we ever really all just together? We share something deep and something important as black people, but we are not actually one in the sense that most people think. It's not something where all of us are from, quote unquote, Ghana. So you think, let's all just come together against a common enemy, and you wonder why it's so difficult. And it's so difficult because my ancestors sold your ancestors to the white slave traders. And we don't know, maybe your ancestors sold my ancestors to the white slave traders. Maybe even before the white slave traders came, my ancestors had captured some of your people and used them as laborers in our kingdom, in our tribe. Maybe there was not even, it didn't even have to be something about enslaving persons. Maybe our tribes just didn't get along. Maybe we were part of feuding tribes. When you think about your ancestors, there's so much to consider. It's not just, let's all come together against the white man. We have to think deeper. We can't just think we all need to come together like our ancestors. We need to think about our ancestors and ask, how do we get past that blockage? Because if you just think about that one step of the continent, when you look into the continent, there's tribes, there's kingdoms, there's feuds, there's partnerships. There's so many different things. So we need to think, how do we all come together and move past the blockages that our ancestors might have created for us and that are being expressed through us? It's expressed through us because obviously it's difficult for the life diaspora, for black people to come together. Although we are stronger, it's difficult for us to stand up. As you can see, it's difficult to unify against a common enemy. It's difficult for everyone to get on the same page. Why? All of our ancestors were not on the same page. There's blockages there, and we need to understand that so that we can come with a solution to that. I hope this is being understood, because our ancestors, people love talking about our ancestors, and we need to realize why there's these difficulties in coming together as black people. Why is it, oh, black girls are always having drama with each other? Oh, the black man is killing the black man. What? Why is it all of these things? Yes, the system has corrupted us completely. I'm not disputing that. The system has poisoned us. However, we also need to go further, return further, and look at our roots, our tribal roots. And I'm not saying in Africa it was just a bunch of feuding tribes and things like that, but it wasn't outside of the norm. Tribalism is a part of the continent. Kingdoms, conquering kingdoms is a part of the continent. It's a part of our melanin, right? And that same disunity may be how the life aspect was even, I won't say that, how the continent was easily penetratable, because to begin with, yes, we're all black people, but we're not even all genetically similar. Some of us are even earthlings, some of us are not earthlings, some of us are mixed with this, some of us are mixed with that. And I'm not talking about black and white and or Portuguese or Arabic and black. I'm talking about different genes, different genetic things going on that predisposes us to this tribalism. And we need to think about that and consider that, like I'm saying, to find the solution, right? So when I think about maybe we're having challenges with unification because of ancestral blockages, because of our innate, not innate because it's not from the highest side, but our history of tribalism. When I think about those blockages causing difficulties in coming together and unification today, and even growing forward in communities today, even spiritual communities, it's clear that the only way to grow forward from that, even grow forward from our history, which I can say I'm Ewe and I can say I don't like this XYZ tribe, and because it's my heritage or because it's my ancestry. It's not it's not an addition in any way, but it is my ancestry, and I could cite that and say that that's what I want to move forward with in my life and move forward with those beliefs. But that's not in any way, shape, or form an addition. So what we really need to think about, we don't need to think I'm Ewe and you're Fan and Fanti and you're Ethiopian or I'm Egyptian, I'm Israelite. Because all of these things, as I said, it's because it's running through our veins. It's the tribalism from of the continent. And sorry, I just lost my train of thought. But as I said, it's running through our veins. It's history, the history before the history, right? The only way to grow forward from that is to completely surrender to truth and relinquish all of these identities that we have, that we pick up from the world and that are ingrained in us. So we pick up these identities, these personalities in the world. I'm African American. You're Caribbean American. I'm British American. I'm British Nigerian. You are South African. You know, it's endless. The list is endless. I'm a Moor. You're not. I'm from the Lost Tribe. You're not. It's really endless, right? So the only solution, and I know these titles seem like solutions, like figuring out you're an Israelite or you're a Moor, things like that. It seems like a solution, right? But they're not, because it goes back to our ancestral division that creates. We need to go back. We need to return. We need to return even further from that to realize truth and to realize these identities and this division is not how we would ever come together and grow in community. Like I said, you need to relinquish all type of identity, all type of attachment to identity if you want to grow forward in community. Because in community, at this point, if we want to come together, we don't have access to the information. Like I'm saying, I don't know if my ancestors sold yours. I don't know if we were from feuding tribes. I don't know these things, even though they could cause blockages. In order for them not to cause blockages, we need to completely relinquish our identity and just heal ourselves in a way that those things don't come in between us as we try to create community. Because, like I said, we don't have access to knowing those things. And they could come in between our communities. Simple things like tribalism, and you might not even know. Like, you think you just don't like someone, but really you're from feuding tribes long ago. So we need to return even further from that time when you were a part of fueling tribes for himself, and completely relinquish our attachments to identity and our attachments even to this reality that's been presented, this reality that we don't know. Because when you think you don't know, you're gonna always be kind of searching, looking for something, trying to find something when you do know. And you don't have to be searching, researching. That just, and adding. You don't need to add more things of the world, more ideas, more theories. All there is the truth, and you need to grow with that. That will allow you to grow in oneness. When you discover the truth, you can grow in oneness in community, and everyone is within the same truth. That is how we grow forward in community. That is how we move past ancestral blockages. That's how we move past this black men kill black men, and black girls are so dramatic with each other and stuff like that. That's how we truly unify, is completely surrendering to the truth, and all of us in community completely living within the same truth, right? You don't need to, that's as simple as I can put it. As long as we are completely living within the same truth, we don't need to be tied to anything. Even our ancestry, like the ancestral blockages, can be dissolved completely if you are living within the same truth. We could be from feuding tribes, but you can be married, and there won't be any blockages with that unity, with that union, as long as you are within the same truth, within the same knowing. Being within the truth dissolves all these blockages of identity and all these things that have come about from the world. Truth and oneness, a true devotion to that and surrender to that, dissolves any ancestral blockages, dissolves anything that is preventing the life aspera from coming together and staying together. Because I know we can form communities and sometimes they dissolve. And like I said, you think you just don't like this person, or you think you don't like their personality, things like that. We need to dissolve things like personality. That doesn't exist. If you want to come together and you want to grow forward in community, and you want all black people to unite against a common enemy, we all need to be within the same truth, right? Because there's blockages there. There's ancestral blockages there. There's already blockages from the poisons of the world already. And then we have to move past our ancestral blockages. So the only way to do all this is to be within the same truth and surrender to that truth, and not let our egos get in the way of that, because the egos are things of the world. Yeah, so I wanted to talk about that today. I hope it was understood, and that movie really got me to thinking, like, who are the descendants of these persons that are being depicted on the screen? And we are the descendants. It's just that, in a way, we need to come to the realization that at this point, it doesn't even matter it doesn't even matter. Like, if we want to come together in community, we can't hold on to the identities. All we need is the truth, and to grow forward in the truth. We can't hold on to identity. And by not holding on to identity and relinquishing that and dissolving that from your heart, that will allow you to grow forward and allow those blockages that I'm speaking about to dissolve as well. Truth allows all blockages from the world currently and historically to dissolve, and allows us to grow forward, and it coats us and protects us, right? So yes, I wanted to talk about that today. I hope it was understood. I hope it will be received properly. So yeah, hope everyone has a blessed day. Guide eye.